The Seahorse Effect by Sierra Steinbecker. Chapter 31. Playing and Planning. Padme and Anakin sat in the living room watching as Obi-Wan sat outside with Luke. The little boy's eyes were fixed on the pebble the Jedi floated in front of him. Leia was still asleep in the nursery.
Padme,
Anakin started.
My sabbatical's over in a week.
She nodded.
We need to talk about what's going to happen to the twins.
She nodded again, but she still wouldn't look at him. He pressed on.
Luke is very strong in the Force. I want to let the Council test him.
Why just him? Her tone was borderline icy. Why not Leia too? Gently he touched her face and turned her so he could look into his wife's eyes.
I don't want to take both of them away from you. If I bring Luke to the Council, I can ask to be his master when he's older. Then whenever you visit me, you can see him too, and I can see Leia.
His voice broke on the last word, and her bitterness melted. They'd known from the start that there would be sacrifices, but when she looked at the twins, held them for the first time, it felt like love had tied her to them, and she didn't want to tear that bond. But how much worse was it for Annie? They'd been a part of him for the past 7 months, and it was his fault they couldn't stay together. Her eyes clouded over, and Anakin pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry, she whispered.
I know,
he answered softly.
So am I.
He relinquished his hold, but kept an arm around her shoulder.
So what will you do with Leia?
Padme accepted the change in topic and the unspoken agreement that Luke would stay with Annie and said, I think I'll take her back to Naboo for a while. The Queen promised me a reprieve from the Senate once the war was over, and Leia might like some of the lakes. Her stomach clenched at the thought of half his family being so far away.
I hope she grows up to be like you,
he commented, thankful for the training that kept his voice steady. Oh, Annie. She leaned up and kissed him on the cheek. We'll come back to Coruscant eventually. Then she looked down. Luke will probably be an amazing Jedi by then. His arms tightened around her again, and Anakin grabbed her hand.
Training takes time, Padme.
He laughed a bit.
You can help me fix all his scraped knees and sprained ankles.
She chuckled too, and then frowned. How would he sprain his ankle? Anakin proceeded with great caution.
Sometimes practice can get out of hand.
Her frown deepened.
But it's always an accident, and we have healers at the temple to help.
But her frown didn't relent. And what about when you're on missions?
All knights and masters know basic healing before they get a Padawan. It's a requirement. Besides, I know more than that now.
He stroked the back of her hand with his thumb.
I'll take care of him, I promise.
And with that, Padme relaxed into his shoulder and watched her son play. Then a wail came from the hallway, and she got up. I'll get her, she said before she left. She walked into the nursery and picked Leia up. Stroking the smooth, dark head, she calmed her daughter and decided to take her outside for a bit. When she closed the door behind her and turned to walk toward where Obi-Wan played with Luke, Padme smiled at the unconscious grin on Obi-Wan's face. Having fun? She asked with a laugh in her voice. The Jedi nodded. He's very intelligent for his age. Slowly, so as not to jostle Leia, she sat on the ground. How do you know? He lifted the pebble again, and Luke tried to grab it. Some children brought to the temple are as young as Luke. Masters and knights try to interact with all the initiates, however old they are. That's how we choose our Padawans. He gently pried open the little boy's hand before Luke could shove the rack in his mouth. After Anakin became a knight, Master Yoda asked me to try and choose another to train, so I began interacting with the initiates, especially the younger ones. Luke wailed at his toy being taken away, and then Anakin was suddenly there picking the baby up and rocking on his heels to quiet the child. He smiled at his wife and his friend.
I think he's tired,
the younger man said.
I'll take him inside and put him down for a nap.
Anakin walked back into the house. Padme turned back to Obi-Wan, slightly nervous. How old does a child have to be before they can be picked as a Padawan?
Usually the preteens, the man answered, reaching over and stroking Leia's cheek. Sometimes they get chosen earlier than that.
Although that assured her somewhat, she still had to ask. Do they ever get chosen as infants? Obi-Wan smoothed out the blanket he and Luke had been playing on.
Not often,
he said as Padme laid the tiny girl down on the blanket.
When that does happen, the Jedi who discovered them is usually the one who asks to train them.
He smiled at his friend.
So if Anakin asks to train Luke after the boy's accepted, the council will most likely grant the request.
Her shoulders sagged in relief and she smiled back at him.
If they don't, I'll ask to train him.
He tickled Leia's chin and her tiny feet kicked out weakly.
It's well known that I'm good friends with you and Anakin, so you would still be able to see him.
Thank you, she said, Padme worried about that.
It's fine,
he said. Obi-Wan got up then and headed back into the house.
I hope I see Leia again soon.
What are you talking about? Padme was confused. He turned back to her and his smile was slightly sad.
I'm going back to the temple tonight. It's a bit sooner than I thought, but Mace asked me to. He and Master Yoda need to talk to Anakin and me about something, but they're waiting until he comes back on his own. It's one of the rules about sabbaticals that the Jedi only comes back when they're ready. But I'm not technically on sabbatical, so they can order me to come back. He shrugged. It was time for me to head back anyway.
Then he walked into the house. Padme picked up Leia and gently booped her on the nose with a fingertip. What are you and I going to do with all these Jedi?